Hello everyone. So today I'm going to go over the Jaxar Berger Sierra Stealth top quilt. So this is a, I believe, 40-degree rated sleeping top quilt. Essentially a sleeping bag, but it doesn't cover you underneath. And I've very much enjoyed this so far, and it's got a lot wider usability than you'd expect just for what I've described so far. So I'm going to just go over all this. This is the stuff sack that Jaxar Berger sends with it, and it tightens with this little cinch strap that goes through a little loop on the back side of it, right here. And you have to loosen up the D-rings and open it up like this. And when you want to pack it away, you shove the quilt in here and roll this down, squeeze out air, roll it back up again, squeeze out more air, and then you wrap it around here and through this little handle on the back. Okay. Just like that, and tighten with these D-rings. But they have videos on their website for how to do that, so I won't go into that in too much detail. But essentially, this is what the top quilt looks like. Now, it is essentially a square of down-filled material. I believe I got the hydrophobic down option on this. And before you use it, you fluff it up a bit. And I don't normally store it in here, so that helps keep the down able to fluff back out pretty well. So essentially, the way this is made is that you have a sleeping pad underneath you, or if you're in a hammock, it's warm enough underneath you to be comfortable, or you have a underquilt and you can pull up the whole thing to your chin, nice and comfortable. And the way this is set up and designed is that you can form the end into a foot box. So the way you do that is there's Velcro on both ends here, on both sides here, and we just attach the two to each other. Hi, girl. And we just attach the two to each other, just along this little ridge. And then it still leaves a little bit of a loop here, and so all we do with that is we just pull these tight and pull down the draw cords. And so now this has a nice foot box. And if you want it back out, you can just undo the Velcro and loosen up these guys. And you're back out. Now, the second thing that really makes this, and this, so the nice thing about a top quilt is that it's lighter than a full sleeping bag, and if you've got a sleeping pad or if you've got an underquilt, if you're in a hammock, you're just as warm because the material that you're laying on in your sleeping bag is all compressed and it doesn't actually produce any much insulative capability anymore. So a top quilt saves you weight without actually saving you warmth, without actually costing you warmth. And so this is the thing that makes this really handy to me. So you wake up in the morning, and it's cold outside, and you don't want to have to carry an extra big, like, down sweater or something just to keep yourself warm in the morning. Especially because, you know, once you're moving, you're going to be comfortable and you're going to be good. You're not going to have to worry about it. So the way this really comes in handy is there's a Velcro closure in the dead center of the bag right here. You notice it's big enough to fit your head through. And that's what this is made for. Now I know this looks a little bit silly, but it is extremely useful. So essentially you drape the whole thing over yourself, like a serape to start with. And then there's a little carabiner on one side, and on the other side, a little loop of fabric made for accepting it. and you just close the whole thing. Oops, sorry, go. Close the whole thing, and the whole thing becomes a serape. And if you're needing to, you can pull your arms into here. And from when I was camping in 20 degrees temperature the other day, I took this top quilt along with a 30-degree sleeping bag and an underquilt and a little liner, and kept me all warm. And when I was done for the night and was tearing down in the morning, I just put this on, buckled it up, and it kept me nice and warm while tearing down camp, while doing my morning breakfast. The loop here can be a little bit hard to get into sometimes, since the way the design is sort of awkward. But there it goes. And I'll lower this guy back down. Hopefully that was perfectly visible there. And this really makes a significant difference. And so instead of having to pack another layer just for those periods when you're not being active, when you're not making your own warm, when you're cold in the mornings, you can just have this. And then when you're done, you can just close the whole thing back up very simply. Just Velcro, and can't really tell where it is anymore. I took this on a 4-day sort of racing back and forth trip to Pittsburgh and back on the C&O Canal and Great Allegheny Passage trails last summer, and it worked perfectly. Like, there'd be mornings where it was a little bit cool and I'd need to wear it, but overnight, like, it kept me quite warm through the evenings and kept me comfortable, and I'm very pleased with this. And essentially, just to show you what it looks like when you're stuffing it. Now, the reality of this, I would have to also say, is that this stuff sack, if you're trying to like shrink down the space of this top quilt as much as you can, this stuff sack probably not your best bet. Just because it doesn't compress down as tightly as like my Montbell sleeping bag. Its stuff sack, like, it makes it small as much as it can. And this, regardless of what I do, I feel like I never quite end up with this as small as I'd like at the end. Especially because you have to keep it sort of compressed while doing this. So, well, the stuff sack's a nice thing that they offer it. If you end up having like another option that you have around that you can utilize for this, I'd say it wouldn't be a bad choice. This isn't the optimal stuff sack, but it works quite well, like it works fine. But if you're trying to optimize things, you can make better choices that will probably work better for that. But it does stuff down small, as you can see. And so that is the Jacks Are Better Sierra Stealth sleeping top quilt. And hope this is useful for folks. Thanks. Bye.